Hello everybody, it's me again and it's time for more puzzles. So basically in the Forest Temple I encountered these perspective-based puzzles, which were awesome, and this one actually stumped me, ha ha ha, tree pun, because I wasn't quite looking at it in the right way at first. And then when I thought I had it in the right way, I realized there were some details which I had been left out. And I unfortunately had to keep going back to solve the first one, which is funny because I could have actually just shifted to the left to solve it. But anyway, so looking at this puzzle, I really had to notice that there were branches that were broken, and then I had to go around the broken branches if they were there, because that's how the puzzle was originally designed, quote-unquote originally, and to work around the branches basically being broken off in the model. And the last one was just a reverse of the same design, and I've been doing so many backwards and reverses and mirror images that it was pretty simple and straightforward. What these three things ultimately ended up unlocking, though, was pretty pointless. It was basically just a door that went kind of nowhere. There were some fun perspective-based puzzles in here, like a wine glass and another pattern, but I couldn't really find anything else of note other than 4 puzzle panels, which I completely ignored the entire time, which are actually what are needed to be solved to unlock the laser here. So I kind of just ignored them completely because they were in shade, and I didn't even notice them, and that led to me, because I was lost and frustrated and wanted to go do something else, heading off to this temple here, because I was like, okay, well, you know, I've started on the courtyard. I did like 2 of them, and then I kind of stopped because I didn't know the rules of the puzzles, but now I do. But first, let's do the friggin' hedge maze, because it's about time to do the hedge maze. So I'm like, okay, that's the path I took. Next one, I proceeded to the end and said, okay, I just retraced my steps on the map, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't work. So then I had to go back, and I'm like, okay, what is it that I can't do? And I was like, oh, there's little bits of the maze that are obscured with, like, grass. So I have to draw around the grass, assuming the grass is bad for whatever reason, and that worked. So then the next one, you can audibly hear my footsteps. And apparently the sound your steps make is how you figure out the path. So I was like, well, that was obscure and weird, and it took me a few times to remember just what route I'd actually taken to even get there in the first place. So I ran back and forth a few times, was like, okay, can you hear me there? Yeah, I can hear my feet there, but I can't hear my feet there, so I don't draw on that. And that's basically how I pieced this together, which was kind of silly. The last one was sort of that, but the footsteps were a lot lighter, and I'm not entirely sure what I did right and what I did wrong, because my audio coming out of my speakers was not very loud, and I could barely hear anything, and I just sort of winged it, and it worked, thank goodness. So now my next job was to basically go to the top of the tower and see what was up here, because I just unlocked that. And of course I have to retrace the steps I took in all 4 maps all in one go, and somehow managed to remember everything. So I started to play back the video I'd been recording, and this is basically, that's why it stutters, is it's me playing back the video and looking at what I did and repeating the steps. And then here the laser deploys, and it gets ready to launch off its light like a flash in a storm cloud. That is a reference to something that will make more sense later on. But anyway, flash of light in a storm cloud, whatever the heck that's supposed to mean. Anyway, so then I proceeded to do the walking puzzles, and the walking puzzles are basically you just have to step across the puzzle as if you were drawing a line. And these are actually cool because they let you cheat. You don't have to necessarily draw the line as if you were drawing a line, because it's, you know, you stepping on platforms. So you can sort of step out of order and draw the line and go around obstacles that way. And then I realized I screwed up at the very start, so I had to reset it. But needless to say, these are probably one of the more engaging and fun 3D elements in terms of the environment. But as you can see here, like okay, so this is when I was talking about stepping out of order. Here, I need to press items that are outside of my reach, but if I step over here, I can touch that. So it's like, oh, all right. So I was able to make a shortcut for myself. That's great. And then here we have a mirrored puzzle, which you step on. So there's another, you know, not a shadow image of you stepping on the puzzle, but basically the buttons get pressed on both sides, and I figured that out very quickly, and I was like, okay, well, this is going to be a lot different than what I was planning to do with it, but I can make this work, and I did. And then that was it. That was pretty much just it. Done and done. And then I saw the secret agent guy, and I was like, wait, his earpiece. Maybe I can draw a line in that. And surprisingly, I couldn't, which it really looks like you should be able to do that. But apparently the the hidden segments are large, not small. I also noticed some interesting things underneath the scaffolding here. That like this is all unreachable, right? You can never actually get down there, to my knowledge. But there's like statues down there, like doing shady business deals and like playing card games and weeping and eating their lunch like they're on break or something. There's a lot of interesting little sculptures down there. Anyway, so then I did the next part of the puzzle, which is essentially retracing the steps you did on the 4 separate puzzles, but there's no mirror image to have to worry about, so you just kind of have to draw it however you want and make it work. And my first attempt at it, I won't lie, I messed up one little tiny detail, and I ended up having to redo the whole thing again. And I think I edited that out, but maybe I didn't. We'll see if it's there or not in this replay right now. But the interesting thing about puzzles like this, specifically the type where you have to combine elements together of several past puzzles, it never holds your hand, and it never expects you to not be able to do some pretty heavy step retracing. And I really felt like that was fresh and engaging in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, there, I did it. It was pretty cool. So, yeah. I still have no idea how to draw on those, though. And then I found these palm trees, and I got completely confused by them. I'm like, okay, what do I do with these? And later on, probably in the next video, I'll show you what I ended up doing to actually figure this one out. And there's actually a large series of puzzles connected to this, none of which have a similar theme at all. They're all completely different, and you basically have to know everything in the game completely to be able to do this series of puzzles. It's like the ultimate gauntlet. It to me, is more challenging than the end of the game, actually it was. I also found this guy reaching out for a wine glass, and his shadow is him holding up the glass. And it's interesting because the guy reaching out for the wine glass is an image that actually appears in one of the puzzles in Braid that you put together. So I'm wondering if Jonathan Blow just likes that image and reuses it a lot, or what's going on with that. I also noticed that the light bulb shines white on the bottom and black on the top. It's kind of weird there in the reflection. And then I started looking for other idiosyncrasies and reflections. If that meant anything, and then that caused me to find this secret hidden line. And then I turned around and then decided to complete that other hidden line that I found earlier by going all the way through and around the lake passage, so I could get both side views of that cargo container to complete that just straight line like that. And there it goes. And basically this is just going to be a sped up view now of me going touring across the coastline to find as many hidden secret lines as I can find along the way, because I like that castle. I'm pretty sure there's one there. Also, I noticed a harpy there that's pretty cool that I'm going to go into more detail on. And then I saw some panels that I hadn't solved, and that's going to lead to me figuring out the palm tree thing later on. And then I saw this glint of sunlight for a sec, and I clicked on it, and it glowed, and I was like, wait, go back. There's a puzzle here. And then, surprisingly enough, yes, there was a puzzle there. And yeah, did it. So then I proceeded forward along the coast to try to figure out exactly what else there was to discover, because I'd heard that there were a lot of coastline like puzzles, and I didn't actually find any near the sawmill, though I know that there's a train track one there that I haven't been able to start or do yet. And then I just clicked on the boat and it clicked, and I was like, wow, how long is this though, right? So like I started drawing a line and I was like, is this ever going to reach a conclusion or an end? So then I had to turn around, and I'm like, okay, that was surprisingly a long line, and I was going too fast to actually draw it properly. So I then decided to go at 1 tick less speed, because I'm a very impatient guy. And I felt like at first going at the slowest speed might be the smartest choice, but then I decided, no, that's insane. I mean, nobody has time to sit and hold this line down and try to draw it. So I went at 1 tick below top speed. And even that ended up being too fast. Even though I was dragging the mouse violently, I wasn't able to connect the line in time, and then it got disconnected again right at that point. So, once again, going all the way back. And don't worry, I'm going to speed up the video now to 8 times speed, because I actually slow the boat down to a crawl. I think I go to mid-speed, actually. Not slowest. At first I was thinking, yeah, 2 speed will do, but then I'm like, this feels like eternity. So I switched it to 3 speed, and now here you are watching 3 speed at 8 times speed. So imagine going 1/8 this speed, and that's how long this took to make sure that this line got drawn properly as we go around the boat very slowly. But all in all, this is a very fun perspective puzzle. It's the longest one like this that I've encountered that involves drawing a line on something that isn't a map or a maze box or whatever the heck you want to call those screens that all the mazes take place on. I think it just says puzzles. They call them puzzle screens. But yeah, this was exciting to just discover like this and implement, and it was very fun to just sort of draw that out and watch all that green stuff fly off. And this, surprisingly, was also my first encounter with what I've heard a lot of people call the Treehouse section of the game. And this is essentially where the tree houses begin. So I then headed into this dock, and completely unknowing what I was getting into, I decided, hey, I've never been here before. Let's see what's going on. And this started a very long campaign of doing these puzzles that involve the flower symbols, which I'd already encountered by this point doing other more difficult puzzles. So I was like, oh, I can just blaze through these because I know they just need to be two in a group and they're happy. And that's basically what I'm going to proceed to do a whole heck of a lot of in the next video coming up. So be sure to stay tuned if you want to just see me do a bunch of these puzzles that all involve this theme, because it's going to be nothing but that probably the whole next episode, because there's a lot of these, surprisingly. But it's cool because you build a bridge out of them, an actual physical bridge that you can walk on. You'll see.